Hi, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us for Ask the Experts About Academic Life today. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. I'm also going to send a message to share what you can introduce about yourself, but feel free to share your name, where you're coming in from, as well as your student's major or one thing that you're excited about for your student to experience at Temple. And welcome in. If you're just joining us, feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Welcome in. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for joining us today for our Ask the Experts panel here with Academic Life Partners. As we get started, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat with your name, where you're coming in from, as well as your student's major or one thing you're excited for your student's experience here at Temple. Again, thank you all so much for joining us. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. Feel free to share your name, where you're joining us from, as well as your student's major or one thing you're excited about with your student's experience at Temple. Looks like we have somebody coming in from Texas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we're happy to have you here. And feel free to continue to introduce yourselves in the chat if you're just coming in. We're really happy to have you, and we'd love to hear more about you in the chat. We have somebody else from DC. Thank you for joining us. And again, if you're just joining us, we're going to get started in just a couple minutes here, but feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat so we know a little bit more about who's joining us. Feel free to share your name, where you're joining us from, as well as you can share your major or your student's major or one thing you're excited about with your student's experience. We have somebody from Michigan, an anthropology major. I love hearing everyone's majors. It's so cool seeing how diverse all of our students are. We have somebody pursuing neuroscience from Philadelphia. Welcome in. DC, as well as New Jersey, and then New York with a finance major, and DC. Thank you all for sharing, and thank you for joining us. Feel free to continue sharing. I'm going to get started in just a minute here, but we love to hear who's joining us and see where everyone's coming in from. So feel free to continue to share your name, where you're joining us from, as well as either your student's major or one thing you're excited about with your student's experience at Temple. We have somebody from Atlantic City with music technology. I haven't heard that one before. That's cool. And then moved from Washington State, but now in Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to get started in just a minute, but feel free to continue to introduce yourselves in the chat so we can hear more about who's joining us today. Looks like we have somebody else from DC, lots of DC and Jersey, it seems, in here. Somebody from Maryland. All right, I'm going to get started here, but feel free to continue to introduce yourselves in the chat. Hello and welcome to the Ask the Experts Academic Life webinar. My name is Emily Brown. I am the summer graduate intern for the Office of New Student and Family Programs here at Temple University. We're so glad that y'all decided to join us, and we love to know more about everyone who's joining us today. So please continue to introduce yourselves in the chat. Include your name and where you're from so that we know who's joining us today. We have enabled closed captions for this session. To view the captions, please click Captions and then select Show Captions. This session will be recorded and the slides and links will be shared after today on the Parent and Family Orientation Hub. Today's panelists are representatives from the Career Center, Education Abroad and Overseas Campuses, Fly in 4, as well as the Student Success Center. These offices are crucial in supporting your student academically and professionally, offering guidance and resources essential for their success in both areas. Their commitment ensures students receive comprehensive support through their academic journey and career aspirations. Our panelists will introduce themselves during their presentations, and then following their presentations, we will have a Q&A session for the remainder of our time together. We will get started with our presentations and our Q&A in just a moment, but there are a few announcements I'd like to share first. You have likely noticed that your audio and video are muted. You can see and hear us, but we cannot see and hear you. So please submit your questions using the Q&A feature. To do so, click the Q&A button to open the window, and then type your question into the text field. If you want your question to be anonymous, check the Send Anonymously checkbox and then click Send. Your question will not be viewable to the rest of the participants until it has been answered. We will also continue to share helpful links related to the questions that have been asked in the chat, so make sure to check the chat throughout the panel. We'll do our very best to answer as many questions as we can today, but if we're unable to answer all of the questions, we'll provide contact information at the end for you to follow up with the appropriate campus partner for your specific question. If you have any questions about your student's transition to college, student health and well-being, student involvement, or student success, advocacy, and support, do not worry, we are going to provide their date sessions at the end of our webinar. If you have any questions about safety and responsibility, student finances, as well as university housing and res life or meal plans, you can go to the Family Experience portal to see the webinar recordings for those webinars. Okay, we're ready for our panelists to begin their presentations. We're going to start with the Career Center.
Afternoon, everybody, or wherever you are. Afternoon, good morning. I see so many different locations in the chat. It's fantastic. I'll start by just introducing myself. I'm Kristen Gallo. I'm the Executive Director of the University-wide Career Center here at Temple. Next slide, Emily, please. So I will share a little with you today about how to access our services and some of the things that we offer, and also just kind of give you an overview of all the different resources and supports available to you, to your students, as they come into Temple. So we think about sort of career development in 3 different phases: explore, grow, fly, which is what you'll see here. So starting with that really initial idea about what you might even want to pursue. So we have students that come in who are ready to go and they know exactly what they want to pursue, but sometimes those things change and they don't realize that those things might change as they go. Or we have students who are really excited about a particular discipline, but not quite sure how they're going to leverage that into a job or what jobs might exist for them to pursue. And then we have other students who are not quite sure. They're figuring it out and they're figuring out what's interesting to them and dabbling a little bit in a variety of different things and thinking about what they would be doing as they start here at Temple. So we always like students to start at the very beginning. The Career Center, our Central Career Center, has 13 dedicated staff members that work with our students across all class years, all majors, all schools and colleges, all the way up through our professional schools. We work with our dentistry and podiatry and all of our other professional schools as well, as our undergraduates. And we highlight this explore piece early because that's likely where many of our incoming students are. We're really, really excited to have you come in, and we want you to be thinking about these things right as you get started. We are not, we often hear the myth that, oh, this is for seniors or this is for juniors. And we want to see you day one. We want to see you the second that you get here. We want to start having those conversations wherever you are on that little that I just shared with you, those different examples I shared with you. That could be, I have no idea and I'm figuring it out, all the way to I have a plan and I have an idea. I know exactly what I want to do and I need a plan. I'm going to need some help, support getting to that plan. So please, please, please come and see us early and often. I hope that's something that you take away today. I'll also share as you grow. While we sit in the university, or I sit in the university-wide career center, we also work with a network of professionals across campus. So I have 13 staff members on my team, but across the entire university, there's more than 40 people that do something that relates to career development. And they're here for you in all of the different industries, interest areas, goals that you as a student, if you are a student on here, or if you have a student that's joining us, might want to take a look at. We call that our career network, and the entire goal there is just to surround students in support for whatever it is that they want to pursue. So you'll see some of you might be thinking, well, I've heard from the Joyce K. Salzberg Center in CLA, or Chris Blackman over in Klein, or George Hempshire in CPCA. Those are they're our very close colleagues, and we're working with all of those people that are embedded in some of our schools and colleges on a daily basis, and supporting them with everything from platforms to just some additional support with events. And then we also, in our network, will also be things like our pre-professional health advising team, our fellowships advising team. Those also all support students in their post-graduation or their goals post-Temple. So we work together very, very closely. So if you're thinking about, well, I've heard from this person, a particular school or college, now I'm hearing from Kristen in the University Career Center, how should I manage that? Our recommendation is to use every single resource available to you to find the thing that's comfortable for you and take advantage of it, because we're all here to help you regardless of what your goals are. So we will support students with everything from figuring it out to, as we move into the grow phase, that might be us, it might be one of our career network colleagues, but that's going to be as you're getting into the nitty gritty. So thinking about developing a resume, thinking about how do you leverage LinkedIn, thinking about how do I even search for jobs? How do I look for internships? What's available out there for me? What do I do at a career fair? There's an employer coming to campus and I want to meet them because I'm really interested. I have no clue what to say, or I have my first interview and I'm ready to prep. Those are going to be some of the things that you'll start to encounter as you get through those sort of, into those middle years. And then finally, of course, not last but not least, but applying to jobs and getting ready for that post-graduation outcome, whatever it is for you. So again, often that's employment, but sometimes it can also be graduate school. We have a good number of our graduates that go on to continuing education, whether that's a master's or a doctorate or, a professional school, so med school or law school. You name it, we have students every single year that graduate and go on to all of those different opportunities. So we want to support you as you're getting ready for that post-graduation planning as well. So I will leave it there, but my keys for you is that we really want you to start early. We want you to engage with career development, really just starting right off. Again, no matter if you're just figuring it out or you're really ready to make a plan, we are here for you, us and the entire career network. And we also want you to keep an eye out for some of the immediate next steps that you'll have, which are listed there under Fly. Handshake is going to really be the tool that students are going to use most frequently for everything related to career development. So if you're looking to schedule an appointment with a career coach, a career professional, really at any of the locations across campus, you're going to do that through Handshake, search for jobs, search for internships, look at career fairs, look at employers, look what kind of jobs they're posting. That all gets hosted through Handshake. So become familiar with that tool, that platform, and you'll get some information during weeks of welcome. When once you are here on campus ready to start, you'll get your official account through Handshake. But please feel free to take a look through our website. I thank you so much, Emily, for posting all those links in the chat to do a little exploration beforehand. But I'm going to stop there, toss it to my next colleague, and then I'm happy to take questions at the end.
Next, we're going to pass it over to Education Abroad and Overseas Campuses.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maureen Gordon. I'm the Executive Director of Education Abroad and Overseas Campuses. So we are the university-wide study abroad office who works closely with our campuses in Italy and in Japan. Next slide, please. So I'm going to take just a few minutes to give you a whirlwind overview of the study abroad opportunities that we hope your students will take advantage of while they're here at Temple. First, why study abroad? Lots of students thankfully come to Temple knowing that this is an option for them. But equally as many students really don't know, what is study abroad? Why would I do it? What's the benefit to me? And of course, more and more folks are asking, what's the long-term benefit of study abroad to my career and sort of the ROI? Study abroad is a high impact learning experience, meaning that it is an opportunity to live in another country for a certain amount of time, engage in deep learning. Students who study abroad are proven to advance their success both in their undergraduate academic career and their long-term career. So of course we have students who come abroad say this, or come back from being abroad saying this was life-changing. I feel so much more independent. I feel like that's the first time I was really fully away from home and can make decisions for myself. But it's also an opportunity for students to set themselves apart when they are applying for graduate school or seeking a career after graduation. There's growing evidence of the benefit to the career. And in fact, recent research that I've linked here on the slide talks about students, their first job out of college, earning more even in their salary when they have studied abroad versus students who have not studied abroad. So if nothing else that you take away from my slides, I hope that you'll encourage your students to come to our office and learn more about why they might do this and what the opportunities are. We try to make it possible for every student at Temple who wants to study abroad to have the opportunity, meaning that any major can study abroad. When they study abroad depends on their academic planning, but we work very closely with academic advisors and colleagues across campus to outline when it's best for each student to study abroad. The length of time ranges in length from short-term 1 to 2 week programs to summer 4 to 8 weeks to semester to academic year. The education abroad professional will say study abroad for as long as you can. The longer you're abroad, the more you can gain from the experience. But some opportunity is better than no opportunity. And Temple really does work to make it very affordable to study abroad. There is obviously a concern amongst families for the cost of study abroad. And I think there's a myth that it's very expensive. It's really does not have to be. And I'll talk through that as I talk through the program opportunities in just a second. Last but not least, we help all students in their planning, so please encourage them to come to our office. We're in 200 Titelman Learning Center in the middle of campus. We host information sessions every week for new students and students interested in study abroad. And one thing I want to highlight for all first-year students at Temple, Temple will reimburse you the cost of your passport. So if your student needs to apply for a passport, the first year they're here is the way to go. This fall, we're actually going to host a day on campus in September when we will have passport agents come to campus and students can actually apply right on campus for their passport. So all of the details for the day are on my on our website. But if your student is not local to Philadelphia, send them to school this fall with their birth certificate and the other things they need for their passport application, and we'll be happy to help them get that. Next slide, please. So now the fun things. Where can they go? What can they do? Temple has a long history of dedication to global learning. Our campus in Rome, Italy, is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year, which is huge. We're one of the longest running study abroad programs in Italy. And recently the Temple Rome campus moved to Piazza di Spagna, so the Spanish Steps. Were very centrally located, amazing campus. And Temple Rome is offering degree programs now as well. So we've had a long history of sending study abroad students. The academic options keep growing. So it's possible for students from many, many majors to study abroad at Temple Rome, either for a fall or spring semester, the full academic year, or a summer. Temple Japan is also a longstanding campus in Tokyo. The Tokyo campus has been there for about 45 years, and also is unique in that it's offered degree programs for many years. So students who study abroad in Tokyo are studying alongside students who are earning their four-year degree in Tokyo. There's a few thousand students who study in Tokyo, so it's a fairly large operation. And many degree offerings available for our students. The Kyoto campus is relatively new. So this is the Tokyo campus has been growing for the last few years, and realizing that, they were doing so successful, they wanted to open up a satellite campus, which has been great. So now students also have the option of studying in the Historic Center of Japan in Kyoto. It's a slightly smaller operation, but similarly, lots of academic opportunities for students. In Tokyo and Kyoto, students can study abroad for a semester, a year, or a summer. And one thing I want to mention about cost for both of these options is that students pay the same tuition that they pay on main campus. And then they pay housing. So if a student can study abroad during a semester, they're using their financial aid and their scholarships, anything they have here on main campus, if they're abroad, just as they would here in Philadelphia. So it's a very affordable way to study abroad, especially if they are staying on track for graduation and taking courses that they need. They still graduate in 4 years. That's our goal always. And these are great ways to do it because the students are taking Temple courses with Temple faculty members. We offer housing for students and the full array of student support for everyone. Next slide, please. If neither of those locations appeal to your student, we have options in almost every country in the world. So a very new option for us that we're launching this spring 2027, are global seminars. So these are opportunities for students to take a spring semester course on main campus, and the entire course, meaning the students and the faculty, go abroad for 7 to 10 days, either over spring break or immediately after the spring semester. So it's a shorter experience, a way for students who maybe have family obligations or have a job on campus or just can't get away for a longer period to still achieve that global learning experience. For the summer, we also offer faculty-led programs. These are they range in location and academic focus. They are led by a Temple faculty member who is proposing to take students to whatever location for whatever subject they're offering. So these are a great option for some students. Like we offer a research program for students in biology in Siena. That's a 4-week program. We offer the Global Good, which is a course that every student has to take at Temple, the Intellectual Heritage course. We offer that in Mexico, Morocco, and Prague. The summer offerings change a little bit from year to year because we may have a faculty member who wants to take students one year, but switch it up the following year. The summer programs are a great way for a student to get their feet wet if they're not really ready or interested in a longer experience. But one thing I usually want to explain to families is that the summer semester is separate financially from a fall and spring semester. So it does require a bit more financial planning for these programs. We also offer exchange programs. So you can see one listed here on the slide, Yonsei University. These are opportunities for fall or spring study where our students are essentially exchanging places with a student at that university. So they are becoming a foreign student at an overseas university, taking a wide array of courses. We offer options in not just Korea, but also New Zealand, England, France, Germany, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and I'm sure I'm forgetting one, but lots of options there as well. Um, One of the benefits of an exchange program is that it's a great opportunity for a student who wants to do something a little bit more off the beaten path, who doesn't want to be with all American students. You're a bit more immersed in the university, so it's a great cultural experience, and also very affordable because students pay Temple tuition while they're doing these programs as well. And then if none of the above is what your student wants to do or really appeals to them, we offer what we call external programs. So these are programs offered by other universities and study abroad organizations that our students can take advantage of. They pay the program's tuition while they're abroad. They're offered in many, many countries, many, many different lengths. And students work with our office and their advisors and receive transfer credit when they go on these programs so they can stay on track for graduation. So everything I talked about is available on our website, and I'll be happy to answer questions a bit later. We do also offer parent sessions occasionally where we talk a little bit more in depth about all of this. So if you visit our website on the event registration site, the event registration portion of the website, we have 2 sessions coming up, one in August and one in September. Those are opportunities to learn a bit more about the global seminars since they're new, but we will talk about all of the options that I mentioned today. So feel free to register for those if you want to learn a bit more, or call us anytime. Thank you so much.
So much. Next, we have Line 4.
Hi, my name is Lauren Nutinsky. I'm Assistant Director of Academic Affairs in the Office of the Provost. And I'm here today. I'm going to talk to you about Fly-In 4. If we can go to the next slide. Fly-In 4 is a program that's been around for 13 years now. And it's been around so long because we've seen that it works. Fly-In 4 is our framework for helping students graduate in 4 years. And it centers on these 4 basic checkpoints that we want students to meet every semester. And so we consider these academic hygiene behaviors or things that successful students do to stay on track to graduate in 4 years. First checkpoint is consult with an academic advisor every semester. So this summer, your student will do their new OWL advising and registration, and they will hopefully register for their fall classes. But it's important to be checking in every semester. Reason being, a lot can happen in college. You can see your suggested 4-year academic plan in the undergraduate bulletin, but what happens if you want to study abroad and take advantage of these incredible opportunities? If you want to change your major or add a minor, pursue a certificate program or an accelerated dual degree program, all of these things can change what your academic plan will look like, but it's still possible to graduate in 4 years and achieve that goal. It just takes careful planning. So we ask that students meet with an academic advisor in their school or college every fall and spring semester. Next checkpoint is to register for the next semester during the priority registration period. So students will get reminders about the priority registration deadline every fall and spring. They'll get those from our office centrally and also from their school college advising offices. it's important to register early to make sure that you get the classes you need offered at times that, work best with your learning style or with the instructors you want. And it's also important from the university's perspective for planning to know, how many seats are needed, how many sections are needed to be offered, to make sure that everyone has the courses they need to stay on track. The next checkpoint is to advance in class standing each year, which means earning 30 credits each year. And students have until the end of summer 2 every year to reach that checkpoint. Again, this is something that you'll plan with your academic advisor. How exactly you achieve those 30 credits might look different for each student, but this is how students advance from freshman to sophomore to junior, junior to senior, is by earning those 30 credits each year. And then finally, the last checkpoint is to complete a graduation review by the end of year 3 and be on track to graduate. So this is sort of that final, what is my last year going to look like, and am I still on track based on the classes I've taken so far? Do we need to squeeze anything else in? And so those are the checkpoints. Students will be able to keep track of these checkpoints when classes start. They will see the Fly-in-4 dashboard on their TU portal. And this is where they can see all their checkpoints. After they go to that first advising appointment, they'll see that it's been checked off for fall 26, and they can keep track as they go. There's no penalty if students miss a checkpoint. Again, these are just tools and checkpoints to help keep you on track. We recommend that if students miss a checkpoint, they continue coming back that next semester and do what they can to keep making academic progress. And as I mentioned, we have had this program for so long because it works. We see that students, 92% of students who meet all of their checkpoints will graduate in 4 years or less. There's no need to sign up. All first-time, full-time freshmen will be automatically enrolled in Fly-in-4, and they will see that dedicated dashboard in TU portal. You'll receive a welcome email and more details as the fall semester begins. And then the best part about Fly-in-4 is that it works like an insurance policy. So what that means is that this is a partnership between Temple and the student. If you meet all your checkpoints and you can't graduate in 4 years because courses weren't offered when you needed it, required course in your academic plan wasn't offered, and that sets you off track, Temple will pay for those required courses. So again, this is just to ensure these checkpoints to make sure that you are doing what you need to plan ahead, stay on track to graduate, and achieve all your goals, engage in everything academically that you would like to engage in while you are at the university. That's all I have about Fly-in-4.
Lauren will also be presenting on behalf of general education today.
Yes, you can go right to the next slide. General education is Temple's signature curriculum. So what that means is that students, regardless of their major, will complete the gen ed curriculum. This is, you get a good depth of learning in your major, but this is that breadth that students will get to sort of expand their horizons while in college. It consists of 11 courses, or about 35 to 36 credits. Of the total 120 that makes up a bachelor's degree. And there are multiple ways to fulfill the gen ed requirements. So that it's possible that some students will have gen ed requirements waived. For example, like Maureen mentioned, if you study abroad, your World Society gen ed is waived. AP credits can take the place of certain gen ed requirements. And so your academic advisors will help you navigate that. But in general, students take a course in each of these categories. So that's intellectual heritage, quantitative literacy, art, race and diversity, science and technology, U.S. society, human behavior, world society. And in each of these categories, there are many, many courses that students can choose from. So the great part about gen ed is this is a way for students to explore interests outside their major, or for students who maybe aren't sure about their major or considering other pathways, a great way to explore those interests, to meet faculty and to meet students who are outside their school and college, and really get a full Temple experience. It also helps students develop really critical professional skills. We know that higher ed and the workforce is changing. It's important that students are learning how to read and write critical thinking, technical skills, quantitative reasoning, no matter what career path they may be going down. This is how they're really going to get those tools and essential skills to prepare them for success. Again, so definitely look. Another plug for registering early would be being able to explore all the gen ed courses that Temple has to offer and choose one that you're really excited about each semester. So great way to explore and meet people outside of your major.
Well, thank you so much. And now we have Colleen from the Student Success Center.
Hi, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know this is a lot of information, so I will try to keep mine brief. My name is Colleen Williams. I am the program coordinator for the Student Success Center. I'm also a Temple alum, so I have been in your students' shoes before, and I'm excited to move on to the next slide so I can talk to you about our tutoring services. Perfect. So the Student Success Center is Temple's main academic coaching and tutoring center. We are located in the library, the big rectangular building in the middle of campus. And we offer a suite of comprehensive academic support for all Temple students. All of our services are completely free to Temple students, and they are able to sign up and make appointments for tutoring on our website, studentsuccess.temple.edu. And we offer a diverse range of peer-based one-on-one tutoring. We also offer group tutoring, study sessions, workshops, a whole host of events. And we offer a different variety of tutoring so that helps students from all across campus. So we offer writing tutoring, STEM tutoring, so that's like math and science. We offer language tutoring. So if your student is wanting to learn a new language, we offer language tutoring. We offer group study sessions, which we call PASS sessions, peer-assisted study sessions. And we also have language tables and creative writing tables. So lots of opportunities for one-on-one tutoring and also group tutoring. And we also offer something called academic coaching, which is usually a particular interest to students who are transitioning from high school into college. Academic coaching is really helpful if your student may need some extra help with time management, organization, learning how to study, or just learning how to take advantage of all of these wonderful resources across campus. So it's a great service, and we definitely recommend that one, but we also recommend all of our services, clearly. And all of our tutors are current Temple students themselves. We have a force of about 150 students who work as tutors. So whenever your kids come in for tutoring, they are working with their peers, and these students have earned high grades in the courses that they are teaching. So if you have a writing tutor, they are doing very well in their writing classes. If you have a STEM tutor, they have passed their STEM classes and they are now spreading their knowledge. So they're all super smart, very nice students, and they're very happy to help anyone out who comes into our doors. And we are open a very wide range of hours during the semester. So if your kids have night classes, then come say hi to us at 8:30 p.m. Or if they got 8 a.m.s, they can come over and hang out with us over in 8:30, because we're open from 8:30 to 8:30 during the semester. And another cool thing about the SSC is that we hire students. So as your students go through college and they think, hey, teaching might be a cool thing that I want to have on my resume, we hire students all the time. Unfortunately, the window is currently closed for hiring for the fall, but if you sign up for our newsletter, which is on that fun QR code, but also on our website, you can be attuned to when we are hiring next. And that newsletter is also a great way to figure out when we have cool events that your students are welcome to join us to. We have tons of events throughout the semester. It's a really fun thing we have. And similarly, you can follow us on Instagram for all of our updates about tutoring, about all of our events, and all sorts of cool stuff. So all of our services are completely free, and we are definitely ready to help you guys out. So that is all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you presenting on all that information. And now it's time for our participants to ask questions. So please post any questions that you have in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. You're going to see a question mark down there, and that's where you can submit your questions. But I'm going to get started with our first one. All right, first is for Maureen. Does the passport scholarship apply for a passport card if the student already has a passport?
It does not. And I should explain the purpose of the Passport Scholarship is to really encourage students to get the Passport book during their first year so that when it comes time to apply for study abroad, they're ready to go. Many of the programs that I mentioned, especially the semester-long programs, require students to obtain a visa. We walk them through that process, but they need to have the passport book in hand in order to apply for the visa. I will say that if you we normally do not provide the passport reimbursement scholarship for students who need to renew their passport. But we are this fall for Passport Day as a special one-time offer because we really want to, encourage more students to do that early. So I'll drop the link for Passport Day in the chat. Passport Day is what I mentioned when we have passport agents coming to campus. So there's a special exemption that any student who comes to Passport Day can get the passport reimbursement scholarship. So yeah.
I think Anisha threw one in there. If you have a different one, feel free to throw that in there as well, but hopefully that can get them where they're looking. All right, our next question is for Colleen. If my student is struggling academically during her freshman year, how do I as a parent catch that early enough, and what academic support is available to help them get back on track?
That's a good question. So my advice for you would be to just, check in with your child and say like, hey, how are things doing? Just like have casual conversations with them. Like, or like, do you find that you're struggling with any sort of classes? Is just what areas do you think you need extra support in? So just checking in, and from there, you can definitely come to the Student Success Center because we offer, again, a variety of different academic support venues there. And you can encourage your student to book appointments with us, but it's important to note that parents are unable to make tutoring sessions for their child. That has to be done solely by the student, and that's in place to kind of like have the student build independence and sort of that sort of function. But you can definitely just share any resources that you have because you guys are learning a lot of cool stuff. So you can definitely share that with your child and be like, hey, I learned about this free tutoring service that's right in the middle of the library, and everyone there is super smart and nice. So maybe you can go check out the Super Smart and Nice Tutoring Center and you can get some tutoring in. So just talk with your child and say, hey, it's like, hey, I understand it's tough being in college and there are resources there that can help you out. So no shame in using resources, no shame in getting help. So that's my advice to you.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thanks. I just wanted to add something real quick from an advising perspective. We do have a few mechanisms in place to help sort of catch students who are academically struggling early. Faculty and instructors who teach courses are able to put in what's called an academic alert, which doesn't affect the student's record at all, but sends a message to the student and their advisor just to let them know, hey, maybe you're struggling with attendance or missing assignments, that kind of thing. And then there's also mid-semester progress ratings. So these are both good ways to sort of check in before final grades are due and maybe a couple flags to know maybe I should visit the Student Success Center, talk to my instructor to see what they can do to help me. So
Thank you so much. And just a reminder to our participants, feel free to continue to throw some questions into that Q&A feature. Our next question is, I think, directed at Kristen, but if anybody has any feedback as well, feel free to share. Are new students able to work on campus?
Yes, new students can certainly work on campus. So we that's managed by our Human Resources Department. So similar to other anybody employed by Temple University, that all goes through our central HR. There is, I saw in the chat, undergraduate student employment. So there is a link there. But when students if they're interested in working on campus, there is a central site where they can go. That's not managed, again, it's not managed by my team, but we certainly work with students quite a bit, especially if they need to prep a resume to apply for anything. If that could be an on-campus job, part-time off-campus job, it could be, internships. So we see quite a number of students, especially at the very beginning of the first year, just helping them navigate, where do I find these opportunities? How do I apply for these opportunities? I will say there's also a difference between work study positions, work study eligible positions, which our Student Financial Services team could best answer for you. That is a federal student aid award, and part-time on-campus employment. They're sometimes intertwined, but they are not the same thing. So we'll often hear folks say work study, just generally referring to any kind of on-campus employment. But work study actually means a very specific thing and is linked to a federal student financial aid award. And then there's part-time job opportunities that might be funded by that. So I know that's a little confusing. Between my team and Student Financial Services, we can certainly answer some questions from your students about that, where to find them. I will say also that it can be quite competitive, right? We have thousands of students that come in every year, and there's only so many on-campus opportunities. So we also have a lot of discussion with our students if they are looking to find a part-time job that we may need to expand besides just what might be available to them on campus.
So much. Our next question is for Lauren. For Fly-in 4, in the program, can students change their majors or double major?
Yes, so the students often change their majors or add a second major. It's of course, not going to be possible for everyone. If you are in your second semester of junior year and you change your major, you're going to have a significant amount of requirements that have changed and that is going to set you off. But it's one of the main reasons we do have those semesterly check-ins under Fly-in 4. Often in a student's first year, they're taking a lot of foundational courses and gen ed courses. And so the earlier you can flag, hey, I'm even just interested in exploring another major, our advisors can help you map that out and determine, what might set me off track versus what can I do and still meet the goal of graduating in 4 years. So that's one of the primary reasons for the checkpoints, is to make sure that we're having those conversations early and often.
Thank you so much. All right, our next question is for Maureen. My student definitely wants to study abroad in Japan. She is an incoming freshman. When should she start that process? And then I have another one, but I'll pose that in a second.
Yes, we love to hear that. I would encourage all students who are thinking about studying abroad or even just, exploring if they want to do it, to come to our office their first semester, and also to mention their intention to their academic advisor. As Lauren mentioned earlier, for most of the programs that I mentioned, students can have their Gen Ed World Society requirement waived just by studying abroad. And so it's good for them to save that requirement in their academic planning. There is an application process for study abroad for all of our programs. And if you don't mind, Emily, I'll proactively answer the question about requirements. That the majority of our programs require a 2.5 cumulative GPA. So students have to meet the GPA requirement. They have to be in good academic standing, good disciplinary standing. And they have to have completed 2 semesters on campus before they go abroad. So in terms of when to start planning, come in this fall and start learning about when is the right time for you. It's going to be a little bit different for every student. But in terms of the process, most students can apply to study abroad starting in the spring semester if they're looking at summer. So after your first year is possible. Many students go abroad junior year, some students go abroad sophomore year. But like a year of planning is ample time to get everything in order. There are info sessions and events in our office every semester for students to learn more about the particular programs that they're interested in. So that will all be posted to the event registration page on our website.
Perfect. That was my second question. Wonderful. All right, our next question for Lauren. How many general education courses does my student need to take each semester?
So there's not a semesterly requirement. It's 11 courses in total. And so that's going to look, when you take them, is going to look different depending on your major and your academic plan, and any other study abroad, any other considerations you might have. Typically, analytical reading and writing is taken in the freshman year, I believe, but their academic advisors will give you that suggested academic plan that includes the gen ed courses and how they fit. Most of them are they're clustered more so heavily in the first 2 years, but that's not to say you won't be taking any gen ed in your senior year.
Wonderful. Thank you. Just a reminder to our participants again, please feel free to continue to throw those questions into the Q&A feature. All right, our next question is for Kristen. What services do your most or what services do your most successful students take advantage of as a first-year student, and what's recommended?
I love that question. What a great question. So usually we're going to see students who jump in. Often for first year students, one of the best places to just start is a drop-in appointment with our career peers. And so that's very low stakes, right? Easy way for you to at least come in and start to get to know some of the services. Most frequently, students start with a quick resume review or some general interview prep. For first year students, it's usually going to be that starting point is going to be a resume review. So I would say pop in, see one of our career peers, come in with an initial draft, even if that's, from your with what you have for high school, and start thinking about, okay, how will this look different by the end of my first year? What are some of the things that I can start to think about and engage in through my first year so that I can start to really flesh this out and make it become my college resume, my college, all the experiences that I'm going to have while I'm here at Temple. I would also say we see students that get involved be really successful. So some of the first things that we see students start to be able to add to their resume to show some leadership development and also just generally, interest perhaps in their industry areas is involvement with our student organizations. That can be some of the first ways that students start to jump in, get to know others, do some networking formally or informally with their peers and potentially professionals at the university or that they bring in as part of their student organizations. So we start to see things like membership in different student organizations, sometimes leadership roles like a president or a secretary, vice president, committee work, things like that. Any way that our students can start to get involved is a great thing. We also really strongly encourage students, if they are participating in any kind of part-time work, we see students really downplay the value of their part-time opportunities. But we constantly hear from our employers that come to campus, they really want to see work experience, any kind of work experience. So if you can show that you've done customer service, you know how to handle money, maybe you've been a key holder or a shift lead or things like that that help you show leadership opportunities. Those are also things that are really, really valuable on a resume, especially very early on. And those are things that we often work with our first year students. Those are pretty common. I would also say that I'm going to emphasize that exploration piece. Students do not have to have it figured out at all to come in and see us. And I do think there's a barrier sometimes, like they don't feel like I'm not prepared enough to go see the career center. And so I just want to bust that myth. We literally have an appointment type called I have questions, ... That's it, right? You don't have to come in with any documents. You don't have to know where to start. Come in, set up an appointment with one of our coaches, come in with those questions. Make a list. There's no silly questions. You're doing this for the first time. You don't know the resources. And so we are here to help you kind of navigate those things. So we love seeing students that just jump in. So there's really no right or wrong way, right? We see our students that take any kind of action, whether or not that's coming in for a drop-in or coming in for a coaching appointment or coming in just shadowing a career fair. Like the best advice I can give is get involved in some way, even if it's kind of from a step back kind of perspective. Those are some of the best things that you can do in your first year to start to feel more comfortable and develop a little bit of a plan for the coming years.
Thank you so much. Our next question is for Colleen. What resources are available to help students transition smoothly into college life and navigate any challenges that they might face? And we can also pose that to anybody else who has anything to say as well.
Yeah, I think that'd be good for everyone to answer as well. But I can say, at least from the Student Success Center standpoint, academic coaching is a fantastic tool for students who might need a little extra help transitioning from high school into college. Because the way academic coaching works is once you fill out the form to start working with an academic coach, you are matched with a coach who works with your student on usually a weekly basis. And it's kind of like a way to check in, be like, hey, how are things going? How are you doing in terms of time management? How are you doing keeping organized? And it's just a way to have someone to just like anchor your student and just to ensure that they're building those key strategies. So they'll give your student like some tools and tips for how to stay organized or how to do how to manage your time better, or here are some cool different study strategies that may work for different people because we all have different ways of learning and memorizing things. So it's just a great way to kind of keep yourself anchored and keep yourself checked in. So that's what I would say for the Student Success Center, and just any of our sessions are tutoring is incredibly helpful because you meet with a tutor and you can meet with the same tutor week by week. You can request to have just a weekly session with a tutor. So you can just meet with the same person over and over again. They'll be like, hey, how's it going in terms of writing? Or like, hey, how's classes going in terms of STEM? And they'll just keep working with you over and over again. So that's my advice to you, but anyone else can answer that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Lauren?
Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick plug for first year seminar courses. These are another really high impact learning opportunity for freshmen specifically. In some colleges, a first year seminar may be required and others it may not be. But something to ask an advisor about and look into, because these are courses that typically focus on resources throughout the university and in your college specifically. Often they go through things like time management skills, study skills, navigating college life in general. They're often like more discussion-based courses, so a great way to meet people and meet instructors in like a kind of a lower stakes academically environment. And you learn so much this summer throughout orientation, but sometimes it hits different when you're actually here and in the college environment in the classroom. So first year seminar courses are great for students who are maybe a little nervous about that transition.
Thank you both so much. All right, our next question is from Maureen, or actually you answered that already, but I guess briefly the requirements to be considered for study abroad, if we could just cover that one more time.
Sure. 2 semesters completed on main campus, full-time enrollment, 2.5 GPA, cumulative, and students must be in good academic and disciplinary standing. So even if they have a 2.5 GPA, if their most recent semester they were not in good academic standing, that would impact their ability to study abroad. That's a rarity, but we see it once in a while. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but the majority of programs do not have a language requirement. I saw someone asked about languages. The campuses in Japan and in Italy, everything is taught in English, as are many of the programs, our exchange programs, faculty-led programs. We certainly encourage students to take a language before they study abroad. If you're thinking of studying in Japan, taking an introductory Japanese course on main campus is a no-brainer, and it's going to make your life easier when you get there. It makes it easier to immerse yourself in the culture and meet friends, but it's certainly not required to participate. So yeah, there are a few programs that have additional requirements, mostly related to courses, but you can see those on our website. So for example, if a student wanted to participate in our biology research program, they need to have a few semesters of biology under their belt. Some things like that that are pretty common sense. So nothing out of the ordinary.
Thank you so much. All right, for Kristen, would you recommend that our students wait a year as they navigate their first year to start looking for internships?
Yes. So yes and no. So I think that there's lots of things the students can do, but I think what's more important to this question is for students to have reasonable expectations. So if you are coming in as a first year student and have never held a job before, which we certainly work with plenty of students who are very involved in high school, but perhaps have not had any kind of employment just yet, we're going to work on some leadership things and we're going to recommend different opportunities for them potentially. And we also just, again, based on the industry, we're going to want to have some specific conversations. So let's take some, super competitive, something like finance, right? Where we might see internships for finance students. Those are usually very heavily recruited for in the fall. So that would mean if you're a finance student coming in September usually, and definitely by mid-October, those internships applications are already closed. It is unlikely as a first year student that in the first 3 to 4 weeks of your time here at Temple that you're going to become as competitive as a junior who has maybe been involved in student organizations, has held different positions, has had some part-time roles or other opportunities. So we want them to aim high, but we also want them to just know what's reasonable, right? So if you don't get an internship in that first year, that does not not mean you've done something wrong. It doesn't mean that you failed in some way. It means that we want to adjust your expectations and understand what's probably reasonable for you based on your field. If we have somebody in theater or something, my advice is going to be completely different because the industry is completely different. So I would say that just students should aim for finding any kind of experience that's potentially going to work for them. And we say the word internship, and that's what we hear most frequently. And people really attach themselves to that idea of an internship when the reality is, part-time work, micro things, project-based work. There's so many other things that could also be really valuable and would be more attainable for a first-year student. So I'm not going to say, yes, wait, hold off. Don't make that something that you should even think about in your first year, right? We want you thinking about that if that's a goal for you, but we want you to also know what's realistic based on your industry. So I would say if a goal is to have an internship for a student at any point, again, come in early, start having that conversation early. So based on your industry, based on your interest area, based on your previous experience, we can have a more robust conversation about what your goals should be and how we can get you to that point ultimately.
All right, I know we're running low on time. I'm going to try to get through a couple more questions. For Maureen, they have a student in the honors program that would also like to go to Japan. The parent is wondering whether she should expect to coordinate with multiple people to make that happen while still finishing in 4 years.
Yes and no. So I mentioned earlier that academic planning is an important piece of study abroad. The Education Abroad team, we are not experts on every student's degree requirements, which is why we have strong partnerships with all of the academic advising offices as well as the honors office. The courses offered, especially at our overseas campuses, are available online. So it's relatively easy for an academic advisor to look at those courses and advise a student on, okay, you're thinking of going to Japan for a semester or sophomore year. These are the courses that you need to take to stay on track for graduation. So that's the piece that they mostly work with their academic advisor on. But then when they apply for study abroad, they're applying to my office. And as part of that application process, we ask those questions about their academic planning and whether or not they have spoken with their academic advisor, who their academic advisor is. The academic advisor submits some form to confirm that the student's on track and what they need. So it's a partnership between us and the academic advising offices and the students. And then everything else they need to do to study abroad, they'll basically work through our office for that. So we help them get a visa if they need it. We help them get housing, all of those things. So yes and no, if that makes sense.
Thank you. All right, I know we're running lower. Kristen, I have one more for you. Does the Career Center track career outcomes of graduates? Are there any particular majors you're finding having better employment opportunities post-graduation?
Yes. So Temple, like most universities, does a first destination survey. As we call it, first destination being where our students or graduates land post-graduation. I mean, across the board, I can say Temple has strong outcomes for our graduates. We have a strong number of students who continue education, and certainly a strong number that go on to employment. I really can't say that there's a particular major or area. Industries are so different, right? We're certainly seeing influences with things like AI on some of our majors and some of the industries that our students tend to go on into. We're hearing all different things from employers. So we track those things really closely and we have those conversations with our students. And very importantly, I would say, if you're student based on whatever school or college they're in, this is also a great place to take advantage of the career advising that might be available to them through their school or college as well. And alumni connections through their school and college, right, to learn different things about different employers and any kind of specific industry related things. I mean, the reality is our students we have so many different majors, so many different opportunities that we see students go on to do all kinds of different things based on their area of interest, their field of study, their talents, all of their skills, all those things post-graduation. So I hesitate to say like this is a major with the best outcomes because we just have such a wide variety of students and, the differences between industry. It's a little tricky, right? So I would say like teachers as a whole, we tend to know that they might be paid less than an engineer off the bat, but I wouldn't say that that's a better outcome or a worse outcome, right? Those are different outcomes and in alignment with the goals that those students were trying to achieve through their time here. Hopefully that answers that question kind of. I recognize that's not a, direct answer to this is the best major, but that's not an answer I can really give. I don't think that's a fair answer for me to give, because it really does depend on student goals. But I will say, like the point there is that we are definitely an office or an area where we are heavily impacted by external factors. So when we are working with students, it's not as simple as them going to class and getting good grades, and then that's going to equal a job, right? We have the economy, we have different industries, we have disruption in various sectors. Like, again, with things like AI, my team is very attuned to those things, and we're often doing quite a lot of education for our students and our colleagues, right? That's our job, is to be the experts in those things and make sure that folks know that all the different factors that go into impacting different industries, different types of opportunities.
All right, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much to all of our panelists for joining us. We really appreciate it. And all of their contact information is on the screen right now. They're more than willing to answer any follow-up questions that you might have. So take that down if you had any questions that were not answered today. In addition, we will also be posting the recording for this session on the Orientation Hub in the Parent and Family Experience portal shortly for your reference. And our virtual parent and family orientation is continuing, as you can see on the screen here. So please visit the Hub to register for any of the listed upcoming webinars. We also, I don't see it on there, but we also have one this Friday as well with Dr. Jody Bailey. So that's not up there, but you can register for that on our Experience portal as well. So please do that if you're interested in any of these. And thank you so much again to our panelists and for you all for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all so much.